Okay. Let's just talk about make sure that ours is
Hello, everybody. This is Robert. I'm going to get started here, and as usual, just a couple minutes. Yeah, give people a moment to pile in, stuff like that. So, thanks for joining, all that good stuff. We are starting to get a relatively crowded room. Trevor Humphrey, yep, you'll go first, man. We'll let you go first. No problem at all. Um, so yeah, we're filling up here, filling up. Hello, hello. Um, cool. Yeah, so QR codes modernized and new. They should be working. I tested them about 5 minutes ago and they were working. So hopefully these QR codes have a little more permanence than the last batch. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe the service went down. I don't know, but um, there's some QR codes. Global Debugger, how to get profile data from it. Cool. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday, but definitely not in that detail. So we'll see if we can figure out some of that stuff. Global Debugger. So we'll get started here tonight because I don't know. 2 minutes. That's like to give people a moment to get in, make sure they get past all the registration stuff and all that. Um, and make sure we can kind of get some ducks in a row. We already got one from Jeff. I'll take any more if you got them. Be nice to kind of put some eyes on them. Like I said, we're kind of building it out. Apologize for the noise in the background. We are in a busy office these days. We are moving around whiteboards. Cool. All right. So again, I updated the QR codes. So those should be live. Um, we'll talk about what those things are because I did notice that we've got some new folks in here that, or at least some names I have not seen before. So welcome. This is Lunch and Learn. It's a good place to ask questions if you got them, and we can try and troubleshoot or figure out those things together, learn about them together. Um, that's a good place. So if this is your first time on Lunch and Learn, welcome. Could you cover APIs and using them to create a data structure? Sure, I could show you some examples of that as well. Some of those things are definitely a little nuanced based on which type of API and all that stuff, or at least what kind of data you're getting. But we can kind of give you a high level overview, and maybe that'll give you some insight. But we'll get started here, like I said, and I like getting started at 12:04 because, as I said, people are still piling in. Someone just joined, so as soon as my Eastern Standard Time says 12:04, I will start my spiel. It's a REST API. Very cool. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. Very, very cool. Roll of four. I got it. Here we go. We're live. Welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining. This is happy little Tuesday. Well attended. Um, again, I did update these QR codes from yesterday. I'm not sure what happened, but they're live. Decisions YouTube channel. We post all the videos from Lunch and Learn. We also post more content. Decision Solutions Marketplace. Another great option for you. It has built out solutions. We call them accelerators, but it has built out and partially built out projects you can kind of import, see how they're built, or just implement them to reduce your friction to deployment, because that is kind of the name of the game around here. So we have partner solutions, we have accelerators, we have some events coming up, decisions events. So if I go to decisions website, keep it kind of short. Look at these events. We got two submerses here in Virginia Beach, September and November, as well as one in Singapore with one of our partners. Two types of classes there. We got a fundamentals and we got a master class. So depending on where you are in the spectrum of learning, um, we might have some resources for you. They're free events. You just got to host yourself. We're not going to fly you out, but if you can get yourself here and find a nice hotel to stay in, it is a free event. And I think we provide food most of the days. So there's that. One thing, just because I can do it and I have the time, right before we get into the questions, I just want to talk about, we talked about the QR codes. If you were in here yesterday, which at least a couple of you were, we had problems with the QR code. Did you know here in decisions, under administration and features, we have a QR code module, right? So instead of using a service like I might have used last time that times out on you after a certain amount of time or the server wipes that data, just make your own QR codes here in decisions. So once you install this module, you'll have steps to, I'll just quick QR. You have steps to generate a QR code. Look at that. Feeling good. All right. So let's get started with some of the questions here at 12:05 on a Tuesday. Jeff dropped his question first. He was talking about Global Debugger. I know he kind of barely we kind of went on a loose tangent about it yesterday. On mute you. But yeah, so for those of you that are still just learning, maybe Global Debugger is a great way to understand what's happening in your decisions instance outside of the flow. If you understand how the flow debugger works, this is totally broken, but it's not totally, I was building out a bigger project. But in the same way, this capacity works where as you make changes here, these things adjust. The global debugger works that way on the totality of your instance. So global debugger is down here on the bottom left. I know he had questions about profiler. I'm just kind of getting some people caught up. Show global debugger. I can turn it on. We adjusted some settings yesterday. It opens in a new tab. And notice as I make changes up here, I go to settings. Let me look at some security, accounts. Let's click this to edit it or something. Okay, no, I don't want to edit that. But notice, oh, it should have populated some of that stuff. But as I run flows and no, I don't want to run that anymore. It just gives me that stuff in a broad sense of things. So as I go through, I should be able to make changes. And as I make changes in the system, as scheduled jobs run or whatever you choose to do, as you navigate through, it will ideally register all that. I'm not sure why we're not registering these things, but I'm not sure right now. But okay, so you're talking about Jeff. What is the question related to? So how to get profiler data from the global debugger?
Yeah, I had sent a question in the support
Okay.
about some of the data I was getting from the Global Debugger, mostly around time and identifying the hot path or the slowest path. And the response I got back was to look at the profile.
Look at the what? What was the response you got back? Sorry about that.
To look at the profiler data.
Okay, look at profile data.
But I just realized the profiler is a separate analysis tool. It's
Sure.
not like you get profiler data from the debugger, at least as far as I know.
Right.
Okay.
I know we got Jared or Jeremy in the lobby. Can you guys talk about the connection between the profiler and the global debugger for me? Anybody's got a little more insight on that? See.
I can talk about it.
Cool, thank you.
Let me, mind if I share my screen?
Not a problem at all.
Yeah, I'll give you a little tour of it, Jeff. So whenever you're trying to test performance in your system, you'll want to use, there's many ways you can do that, but the one that's built in Decisions is the Decisions Profiler. Now, I'm going to use this training server that we have here because it actually has some live flow data that I can run off my screen to show how the data or how I capture performance data from it. So long story short, where we find the performance profile data is you go to the system, you go to, I want to say it's administration, system tools, and then there your profiler will be right here. There's a couple of things that if you're ever experiencing slowness when you run a process, the flow management, I think it's it's the event viewer. And if you go to the system activity, you can see kind of like how heavy the load is on the system. This is like a task manager for decisions. Hey, like how bogged down is the system here? Not too much. It's got a couple of rule executions. But if I'm still experiencing some slowness, you can even go further and you can click on the profiler data. And the profiler data allows you to run a profiler session against, 3 different processes of the system to see what's going on in the process. And it will show you the name of the flow that it's gathering. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run a process in the background so that we can get some data. Test case. And where's the other one? There's one that have it's a bigger file. That would be more. Okay, cool. So if I want to run this, I'm doing this all off screen. So if you're wondering why, no, not all of them. There you go. I'll import this. Okay, cool. And so now what I'll do is I'm gonna, stop. Or I'm gonna start a new profiler session so I can get this new process run. And so what you'll see here is I'll get different information from this profiler set of data. So if you know what the flow is that you want to run, you'll see that you'll have different steps that are executing and however many times it took them to execute. So what I'm going to do to better take a look at this, what you'll want to do is you'll want to download the text view of the data. It allows you to download a text file that you can then view, and you can see the different parts of your process. Now, I ran this flow, this import flow, run flows for list on the back end, and so I can easily see how fast this flow is running. And so what you want to do with this is you want to be able to view the flow, and then you can see that this total time without children is like 100,000 milliseconds, which is a pretty good while in the computer world, because now we have this very large number, taking up a lot of time. And over here, this number says if I didn't have anything inside of me, like if I didn't have any sub processes, it would take 78 milliseconds. And so then the question is, what is going on between the time that it takes to run this specific flow and how to optimize it? How we get this number right here is it's just the average amount of time this thing has taken multiplied by the count that it's run. So here we ran this 774 times, and the average time we'll take is 129 milliseconds, but when you run all of it, it took this long. And so then what this gives you to do is you can look down and drill through and find out where the slowest parts of the process are occurring. So for example, I can look down and I can see I have this database call over here where the total time it took for this one is around 6 seconds for it to run this database call. And I ran this around 730 times. And so now I can easily drill down to find out what is the thing that I may need to optimize or configure to make it perform more efficient and faster. Some common misconceptions about this is some people think this is like a stack where I got to find the most innermost thing. But what decisions does here is it actually surfaces the most expensive flow process at the top. So I can say here, okay, this import flow run flows for list. This step within my import flow is the one that has the slowest amount of time, and I need to drill down and find ways to optimize its performance. And so so Jeff, whenever you interact with our support team, if you ever need some help diagnosing this is kind of what they will need, is this text view from that decisions profiler, and then you can work with them to determine, hey, what's the best optimization for this or for that. But this is kind of like the basic kind of crash course of how we use the profiler here.
Okay, that's great. So you're saying that in your text view there, the thing at the top, it's not the top of the hierarchy of the flow running, right? You said it's pulling up the longest running thing to the top.
Exactly, the most expensive. What's taking the slowest? That's the thing that's gonna run. So over here, this is why this one's already at 100. Like over 100,000 milliseconds. And if I scroll down to the next kind of process that runs, right, this one's nowhere near. Total time was 108 milliseconds. So that's why this one's very underneath,
Okay.
the process. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So next question. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jeff, for the good question. I'm learning too. I'm lunching and I'm learning. Talking about the next question that I see in the little queue questions is APIs and using them to create a data structure. It's a REST API. So you have a handful of options there. I'll kind of give you a high level overview. I don't, it says anonymous attendee, so I don't have the ability to unmute you. If you want to raise your hand or something, I can unmute you and maybe fill in some of the gaps there based on what you're telling me the gaps are. But just for a high level overview, I did put a link in the chat to some documentation on some of the integration, basics, real basics there. Um, but generally speaking, it's going to be an integration. So as we go to the system folder, and I'll kind of go back to the home screen just to kind of set you up. So, you're generally working in this space, you go to system settings and on integrations, and then external services, you have the ability to add a REST service. And in here, you can, again, depending on how you have what the nuances of what your integration are, you will have to authenticate in some capacity, but it will be different based on your use case and your oh, chat's going. It's me. Okay. Thank you, Alexander. Cool. I'll unmute you.
Sorry,
Oh,
the
there you go.
reason I'm
Yeah.
asking for this information is that I've been tasked with going through and updating our AP, some flows that have APIs in them,
hmm
and essentially the API is pulling in all the data, so it's not filtered at all, but it gets filtered out throughout the flow, and I'm not 100% on how to like update it and then update the data structure to accept the new fields that are being added.
Okay. Let me see here. I know we've got a project. I'm trying to remember which one. I think it's this one that has some of that built out. And if someone wants to jump in, let me try and remember where we're at here. So again, I think this kind of depends on a number of things, but we generally put our API into a subflow so that we can only pass out the things that we want. So if you're getting a ton of data when you're using an API call and you're like, I don't necessarily need all this data, a workaround, and maybe I'm not reading you right, but you could put that API call into a subflow and then only pass out the things you want, um, so that outside of that flow, you're not drowning in variables and you're not drowning in data. Because again, if you have an API call that is pulling tons and tons and tons and tons of information, your select from flow and those kind of options will be really, really inundated with all of that data. Um, that is a loose option like that. And you wanted to map it into a data structure, is that right?
Yep, that is
Yeah.
correct.
Um, and um, let me see here if this is the correct thing here. Um, uh, Anybody on my side of the line, Jeremy Jared, list mapping would probably be an ideal option for that. To take API data and turn it into a data structure.
Well, I got a clarifying question, Alexander.
Sure.
So you're saying that you have an API call, let's say it has three properties:
Mhm.
email, salary, start date. Now
Okay.
let's say you're calling some employee database, right? I'm just making this up. And then let's say out of nowhere, that data type that had those three things, email, salary, start date, now has the is manager property. And you have to update the data type to capture that additional property. Is that what you're asking?
Well, it's more that the original API had those three properties, but I was only using one of them, and now a new ask has come up, and so I have to now include the rest. The only thing is I didn't
Oh,
make the
gotcha.
original one, and so I'm going in and trying to like backtrack somebody else's work.
Gotcha. Well, that makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I think Robert, if you could show just the creating types from JSON or XML. So essentially what you can do here is, right, if you have the JSON of whatever you want to add into whatever your API call is, right, depending on what's on the API documentation, it will output the XML or the JSON. And what you can do is you can say, hey, here's the JSON. I'm going to paste that JSON in here and then call it whatever type you want to call. And then let's say you've updated that. Then if how you update the API call to either output that type, what you can do it one of two ways. Can you go to the integration service for this one, Robert? And external services. And it should be the insurance claim. You have to go to the actual project. So folder, yep, rent 3 data types. And we have this, we have this pet insurance claim up top. So this is just a folder. If we edit the service of this, you'll see that, right, this is the thing that connects to it. This is what we got. But if you go inside the folder, so go ahead and you can close this and left click on that folder, Robert, left click. So we can go inside of it. And then when you go inside of it, now you have the method, which is the step that you actually call. So let's edit the method, right click the method there. And what you can do here is you scroll down and then that's the body. But if you scroll down even further, that's the select data output type, this result data right here. That's the thing that you would change after you've updated your data type to be, right, insurance provider response, more properties or whatever you name it. You can name it there. What some customers can do is you can leave this output data type as a serialized string. So if you can go into the flows folder, Robert, and create a new flow, doesn't have to have anything in it. Just go to a flows folder, create a flow, test flow. The other way that we do this is that if you do configure your steps just to output just the serialized package, then what you can do is you can utilize a step depending on if it's JSON or XML called the JSON to serialize or the XML to serialize. And then in that step, when it loads, you can then say, okay, go to the deserialize step for me. Click on that, click on the JSON to serialize, and then you can then say, hey, I want to pick the JSON type to deserialize. And so whatever you've configured in that create data types from JSON will appear here. So how does this relate to the integration? So when you leave the integration to output a serialized string, you can then say, I want to pass that serialized string into this JSON to serialize. So it can make it easier for you if you build this in this paradigm, because then you could set this up as its own flow, and then you just pass in that updated information, and then just deserializes into that data type that you want, and then you create the subflow. So if you ever do have to change that data type, you can change it in one place and be done. So a lot of words. Any questions or things you want me to repeat?
No, I think that explains it pretty well.
Man, thank you guys again. Double learning here. Thank you, Jared and Alexander. That was insightful too. Like I knew a bit of that, but that was definitely rounding some of the corners for me. I guess I don't need to save this. What else we got in the chat, y'all? This has been nice. Like the last 2 days have been really communal and cool to kind of where everyone's kind of lunching and learning. So what other questions you guys got for me? Hopefully I didn't miss any. I know yesterday I didn't notice the chat, the QA. Cool. What questions you guys got for me on y'all's end? If not, I can gladly show off some more stuff. I'll give it about another. Highly recommend Submerse. Good people, good food, good time. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you'll get to. Yeah, we're all here in Virginia Beach. Me, Jared, a handful of other teammates you may interact with, people on support. So, yeah, it's a nice way to come through. If you do come through, feel free. Try and ask for Jared or I. We will be around. I see someone, Alexander, you unmuted. Does anybody got a question? I saw someone else just joined as well. So if you're just joining, can you demonstrate for people how to replace data in configurations action on folder manage works? Ooh, can I? Probably not. Can I try? Yeah, for sure. Can you demonstrate for people how to replace data in configurations on folder/manage work? I do not know, man. You'll have to give me some more insight there, VT. I know you're a quick one. What are we trying to do here? What is the can you replace for people how to replace data in configurations actions? Folder/manage. What is the ask, or can you if you give me a little bit of direction, I gladly will. I'll learn too while we're here, but I don't know what that action does. Folder manage, replace data in configurations. I do not even see that. You'll have to give me a little bit more there.
Do you mind if I share my screen, Robert? I have
Sure.
something different that I want to show, so you can keep working on that in the background.
Cool.
But this is something I wanted to demonstrate. It was an ask that Jeff Humphrey asked a long time ago. This is just our kind of support, tirade system. And we've recently have this new thing in 9.2 where you can capture recent searches for whatever you search for up here. So as you can see here, I recently searched for this this ticket number, and then any other ticket numbers that I put in here. Let's see if I can find another one. Right, and then if I click off it and then click back in it, I can get recent searches attached to it. So if you want this feature's in 9.2. We recently added it, but it's kind of a nice quality of life update, and it makes kind of remembering what you recently searched for available to you, like in most other applications. So just wanted to demonstrate that for Jeff and also for everyone on the call. If you're interested in having this feature, it is in 9.2, and we've added that capability.
So one, again, I got that question. I'll give a quick one, but I can tell you, when looking at documentation around a Dask, it does say, and just to keep ourselves safe here, it does say replace data in configuration advanced may corrupt data within a flow. So I do hesitate to do too much with it, but I will gladly explore because I'm trying to learn too, So let's go back into my version so I don't mess up any of our projects. It's saying to do something like this. Lunch and learn, create a flow, call this replace data in configurations, all caps. Connect the start and end steps to the flow. Click the start step and click show editor. Properties panel or flow inputs, enter old. Under name, click save. And close flow. Now it's saying to right click the designer project, navigate to manage. I'm in version 9, so I'm trying to manage, replace data in configuration. I don't even see that. And it might not be a version 8 thing. Let's see here. Yeah, it's in version 8 for sure. Version 9, I'm not seeing it as an option. Let's see if we get to lunch and learn here and kind of poke around a little bit. Lunch and learn, designer project, manage, replace data and configurations.
We can take this offline, just follow up with you about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to take it. Yeah, that's probably a good one. Is there a way to paste a screenshot image in the form? Sure. Okay. Let's see. Another question from it. Thank you. I'll test it. Oh, we'll test it right now. Is there a way to paste screenshot image in the form and include that in the email body? When I use rich text editor, it returns the HTML link of the image, which is not displayed in the email. Can we get base 64 image in the email body? So let's see here. We're going to test. My guess is we're going to have to get that image out in like a list of bytes or something like that, and then map it in as a list of bytes as an attachment, maybe would be my initial guess. Having it be a part of the email body would be a little tricky, but maybe we can mess with it. Uniform, simple form, upload image for email. Let's put a button on there so we get a path. All right. So then you said you were using in the form, paste the screenshot into the form. I don't know if there's a way you can paste into a text box. Let me see if we got some image options here. Image picture picker. Are you, I mean, are you trying to use a text box to copy the image into? Rich text box allows image. Thank you. Cool. This text box is rich. Must be nice. About putting the image as a string here.
We do have to figure out when the topic. Yeah, so Ron still wants to buy it. That's great. We want to try to schedule all three.
Take any little bit of a nudge in a direction. Sure, we can have HTML base 64 image in an email with an HTML tag of image and source property of base 64. That's
Yeah, do you mind if I take over,
yeah,
Robert? I
please,
think I
please.
could
Yeah, that'd
I
be
could show
a
this. Yeah,
blessing.
you could definitely do that. Let's just demonstrate on the call. I know you definitely can do that. You just have to, um, custom stuff. So I don't know where you're getting this file from. But what I'm doing here, just for the sake of demonstration, is I'm just going to have a form designer with the file upload. And I'm just going to upload a simple screenshot that I have. Now we do have this step in decisions called convert bytes to base 64 string, because when we output an image or a file of data, we have a list of bytes that we can then convert into a string because it takes in a list of bytes. And just a quick Google search, the format that would need to be configured for the image source would need to be this right here, where it's just the image tag, source, data image, base 64, and then your base 64 image string for that particular image. So let's go ahead and test this. Let's see if it works. I think we might have to configure or do some stuff, but let's kind of go down this journey together and let's see what we have. So this is example message. And then this thing in the body is going to be merged, not plain text, because that's not going to work. Merge HTML text. And let's see if it reads this. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's see, insert image, not via URL. That's not what I want, because I want to craft this. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to say list of bytes. We're going to grab the list of bytes from the contents here, from the image contents. That's going to convert it into a base 64 string. I'm going to rip this off of stack trace and just change that information there. We'll go to show editor, and let's say this is example image and body. That's not what I wanted, because that just grabbed the default image in decisions. And then we shall, let's see if I can do the image tag thing here. And let's go ahead and test this image source. In my case, user would take a screenshot and directly paste that image to the form like they do that. Okay, gotcha. So then we can do this, and let me go ahead and test my base 64. I need to grab this from something. Base 64. Let's see, I think that's the string portion. I'm gonna test this out. Convert that there. Boom. Let's see if that will work. I don't think it will, but we shall see how it happens. And I'm gonna put this in here. Oops. Touch this here. Body. All right, let's just test it. I don't need this example object here. Save that. I'm just gonna debug this. Let's go ahead and run it. I think I have some images that I downloaded. I was playing around with AI. Oh, it's too big. What's the smaller one? I need a smaller image. Where's a screenshot? Trading mid. That's not what I want. What's this thing? Okay, that's gonna be the hard part. Me finding an image. Image. Image 5. Cool, cool. All right, I think I found one. Let's get to do this one. Cool, cool. So we're gonna send this as an email to me, and let's see if in my email, let's see. Like one sender. So added an extra space into the image source. Body HTML. Let's go ahead. Yeah, because I just add all the extra tags. I want to remove the tags, image source, and then let's try the merge plain text editor. That's what I want to try. All right, cool. And then I believe that should work better. Let's try that now. Same thing. We're gonna grab that image 5 that I had earlier. Put that in here. Cancel that. Run this. Take a little bit. And let's go ahead and see if that makes a difference. Right now, I'm just waiting on the email to come in on the Outlook side. Let me go ahead and refresh. Because yeah, if you're curious, this is what it did. Where's that thing? Right, so I just got the image source. And this is when I did the HTML configuration. So it just kind of put it in, plain text and didn't really display the image. So I've tried the merge plain text to see if it will go ahead and format that a certain way. So just waiting for that one to kind of come in. I'm sure, I don't think it's the right format. There should be a space there. And quote on the data part of it too. A lot of this is just kind of messing around. Okay, so that's good. Let me make sure that space is there on that image source. It says it is a space. I'm not sure why it's smushing it there. Run it. Bum, bum, bum. Put that in here. All right, maybe it's in inbox. No, it's not sending to me. Disable HTML escape. Ooh, I got you. That's a good point. I think it's in the settings on there. Oh, yeah, I wonder if it's like the cleanup part for that. That may need to be configured. I'm gonna try this one more time, and if not, what I'll do is I'll take this offline and I'll send you a project. Can you put your email in the chat, Amit? And I can definitely show you how to get that part of sending the email and having a display in the email. So right now, I'm not seeing my email come in. And so once I get your email address, Amit, I can then create you like a small project and send it your way. So you can see like this is how you can do at least the sending of the email part or pasting the image into the email utilizing the send email step. So, all right, I'll go ahead. I'm going to stop screen share and turn it back over to Robert.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, something we'll have to, like I said, we'll do some building and try and send you some intel. I've been working on it too on the sidelines here, trying to poke around, trying to figure out how to get to work, but we'll have something for you today, hopefully. What other questions we got? We've kind of been running pretty quick here. What is the best way to sort a list of objects based on the property value? I'm having some performance issues related to that. Currently using a collection sort step. What is the best way to sort a list of objects based on a property value? I'm having some performance issues related to that. Currently using the collection sort step, the one with the flow sort rule. Man, got some depth here. Sorry, folks, I'm just pulling all this stuff up. Supposed to sort list of objects based on a property value. I'm having some.
Oh, were you waiting for me to?
No, I was reading and trying to absorb it all.
Yeah, so I have a pretty simple example. It's I have an object. It's a flow structure. It's got 7 basic type properties, like
Okay.
ANSI springs. And I'm trying to sort based on one of those property values. And it's really it's taken like it's telling me it's taken like a second to do each sort, which I'm finding kind of strange. The object's not complicated, and then the list only has like three objects in it. The one I'm testing with, it only has like 3 instances in the list.
Okay. So you're trying. I'm just still trying to do a little bit of research here on the sidelines of that, how that, and what might be the cause of that collection sort.
Now there are 2 collection sort steps. There's the one that uses a flow for a rule, and there's one that uses a statement rule for the rule. I use the flow version.
I'm still figuring them out here. Collection sort step, and then the other
What's
one's
the property you're sorting by, Jeff? Is it something complicated, or is it something that
No, it's
we
just
can?
a priority. It's an integer stored as a string.
Okay.
I don't know if that's.
No, that helps. Usually what we do is in those circumstances, if you're seeing that your collection sort step is taking a long time, because what happens is whenever your data grows exponentially, right, the more flows has to run per item, that's going to increase the performance curve, right, where it's going to take some more time as you're seeing now. So what we'll do is what we advise is like in your query or your fetch entity step or wherever you're getting that data, sort it at the database level first and then send it into decisions, because then you're utilizing what the database is meant for, which is kind of that sorting, get that kind of in the order you need. And then when you send it into decisions, you don't have to have those extra rule collection filter or sort collection filter steps in that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is more like it's a list of objects emitted from a rule set.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's not from a database; it's just from.
Yeah, and then it's processed and it's manipulated, and then every so often it does a sort. So like I think in one iteration of the overall process, it probably runs my sort flow 123 times, which seems excessive, but there's a reason for that. But
Right.
Under load, it's telling me that the average time to run that is 1.3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a load of
Like 100.
actually just 20.
Just 20. Wow. Okay.
20 within 10 seconds running a process. So
What if can you just drag over the sort step, Robert? Not the rule collection sort, just sort array. Because it's a composite type you're outputting, right? It's not like a simple primitive type.
yeah.
Now, I would try this. It may not change, but the thing about this is you can change your data type to whatever you're outputting, and just
Okay.
leave it on file data for a second, Robert. Because then you can see how we have a field option for that. So if you go down the field, then you could say, I want to sort by this specific field. So if you have your priority or your number integer that you want to sort by, you can use this for sorting. And I believe this may be a little bit faster because now the step's not running another designer element. It's just saying, hey, I got the data, I'll sort by this for you. I believe that may give a performance increase and be better, but we'd have to test it. But that's where I would start at least.
Okay, I wasn't aware of this one. Okay. Do you know, is this running like a link sort in the background?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. I have to talk to one of the core devs and see what the inner workings of that step is.
That was sort of my next thing, as I was thinking about maybe just adding a method quick to our custom SDK that just runs a link sort, because I know that's pretty efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat did mention that as well. That custom step SDK on our end.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you, man. Thank you guys. This has been action-packed full. All right, let me make sure I'm clearing here. One hesitation, just forwarding information here, Jeff, is that if you use integer as a string, it might not work because 10 would be sorted after 1, which to me logically makes sense. I'm not sure of the backside, but I also just don't have the depth to understand how that would
Oh,
not
that's a
help.
good point. I was thinking too, maybe the fact that in my rule for the sorting, I'm doing a converter flow to convert that string to an int.
Mhm.
So that, I don't know if that doesn't inform. I'm kind of looking down the tree of the profiler that you guys just put me out of you. All right, but thanks.
Yeah. We're getting a developer question in the background here about what you just asked. So good. We're getting information here in the background. We're asking designer.
Okay.
We're getting advice that it's going to be more performant to go this way because you're not going to have to run a whole flow and execute a whole flow every time you perform that sort. He's looking right now in the background. It looks like we'll get you some more information, but based on like I said, some further insight we're asking around here in this busy office building, the sort array should be significantly more performant because you're not having to run that whole flow. But and if you're running the converter beforehand, it shouldn't affect. If you're running the converter beforehand, it shouldn't have, it should be fine. Like you mentioned in the chat would be my guess. But again, it's a total guess. Getting some more information. And Jeff, I'll send you an email follow up with what the big guy says. So any more questions? We kind of ran through quite a bit of stuff today. We talked about some events. We talked about some stuff we have going and options for you with the solutions marketplace. We talked about APIs. We talked about screenshots, and again, we're going to follow up on that. We talked about some sorting. We talked about Global Debugger. We kind of ran it today. So, any more final questions before I kind of wrap it up here? We did about 50 minutes. So, we'll be back tomorrow with Jared, I believe. It might be Jeremy. I can look here in a second. Jared, who's already in here, basically hosted this one. So, back-to-back days for Jared. So, any final questions? If not, I appreciate everybody attending. It is always nice. Like on my end, I'm learning and lunching too. So it's been nice. I appreciate the attendance has been going up every day, and it's been a nice little section of my day that I look forward to. So I appreciate everybody stopping in. I'm going to go ahead and end the session unless we get a question popping up here in the last second. But we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much.